In the deep dive tonight, a new exhibit at the National Law Enforcement Museum sheds some new light on one of the most terrifying manhunts in the DMV. The D.C. area sniper attacks killed 10 people back in October of 2002.
Our Brett Bell toured the exhibit about the snipers captured today, and he joins us now live. Brad, you covered the sniper attacks from the beginning to the very end, but we understand the exhibit features something that you've never seen before in person.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and it's the notorious blue Chevy Caprice that the snipers were using as what I'm going to show you again as a rolling sniper's nest. Certainly saw pictures of it during the trial, but this is the first time it's being displayed publicly here in our region. And the idea here is to really, this is the law enforcement museum, to look at it from the law enforcement perspective and sort of honor the work that brought the killing to an end. Well, the exhibit here at the Law Enforcement Museum opens with a scene setter, taking us back to that time 25 years ago. It was just 1 year after the 9/11 attacks, and here in the D.C. area, the anthrax attacks as well. As it notes, we were already on edge with regard to security and public safety. The exhibit then quickly moves to what they're calling the 22 Days of Terror. I remember this very, very well. The night before the explosion of shootings, James Martin was shot and killed in Wheaton. I was there looking into that when all of a sudden, all around where I was, shootings. 4 people shot in quick succession with really just a few miles of where I was. The exhibit will run through December 2027 to commemorate the 25th anniversary of those 22 Days of Terror, as the museum calls it. Executive Director Thomas Canavan says the aim is not to highlight the criminals, but rather to honor the police who brought them to justice.
We wanted people to see, the lengths that people go to create harm and to create violence and terror in our neighborhoods, again, to demonstrate, law enforcement's commitment to keeping us safe and capturing them.
That arrest finally happened at a rest stop along I-70 after fingerprints and tips led police to the killers. News we broke on 7 News at the time. It's the guy. The exhibit includes missteps in the investigation, including the region-wide hunt for a white box truck after a witness told police one fled the scene of a shooting. The snipers were never in a white box truck. This, in fact, is what the snipers were using, both to live in, sleep in, and target and shoot their victims. The blue Chevrolet Caprice. It's being displayed here for the very first time in our area. It was set up as a sniper's nest, the FBI dubbing it that. The shooter would get into the trunk of the car, climb through from the rear seat, and if you look just above the New Jersey license plate, you can see there is a cut. Well, that is where they would place the gun barrel. The sniper lying down on his belly, targeting his victims through his sights and taking lives.
They took a really kind of simple technology and created a horrifying object from it that murdered 10 people.
The .223 caliber Bushmaster assault rifle the snipers John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo used in the attacks is also on display, as are the notes they left taunting their pursuers, saying, quote, "For you, Mr. Police, call me God." There is also an entire wall here devoted to the victims. You'll see their names and their pictures. I have to tell you, I remember every one of these people very, very well. Their stories were told at the trials. All 13 victims, concluding with Conrad Johnson. What you won't find here is any photograph of the snipers themselves, and that is intentional.
We hope that it glorifies what law enforcement did during that time. We did not include their image. We're focusing solely on the victims. We brought out a few key select artifacts to really kind of bring people into that moment and that time period.
Yeah, so as for the snipers, the serial killers, John Allen Muhammad was sentenced to death, and he died by lethal injection in Virginia in 2009. Lee Boyd Malvo, who was 17 years old at the time of this murderous spree, is now 41 years old, serving multiple life sentences in Virginia. He also faces multiple life sentences in Maryland. Scott?
Yeah, Brad, I mean, what an incredibly challenging, intense time. You hear the stories from people talking about even just gassing up their cars, how scared they were. You were covering it, as we've already pointed out. What did it feel like on the streets back then to you?
Yeah, you know what? It was terrifying. And I'll share, Mike Vaughn, photographer behind the camera right now, was a live truck operator then. And we were talking about it as we went through because he came to the very first scene and was pretty much at every scene after that and all the way through the trials. Look, nobody knew who was going to get shot next, right? We had all those people in one day, and then another, and then another, and then it spread to Virginia and into the District of Columbia. For us in the news business, we were out, we were visible. We actually tried to circle ourselves with trucks and that sort of thing in our areas where we were doing live shots. But we felt the same thing everybody else out there felt, and it was fear. And you know, I had young children at the time. They weren't really allowed to be outside to play. School canceled recess. Field trips to DC were canceled. It was just an absolutely horrible time. And again, the point of this exhibit is not to celebrate that in any way, shape, or form. But as I said, it's from the law enforcement perspective. They want to talk about the police officers whose work finally brought the killing to an end. In the district, Brad Bell, 7 News.